Hello everyone, it's Matt here and welcome to the Brickliner update for December. I did record one for October and that's when some of the photos you'll see here are from, but it just got left to the wayside and then some of the stuff in that video was a little out of date, so I've decided to reshoot the entire thing and then update it that way. So first things first is that I've been able to complete the fourth car, or at least start the fourth car with the underframe and some of the bodywork. This is the final passenger car and would theoretically go between the loco and the kitchen car. So the tender, and then you have this car, then the kitchen car, second, and then the observation car, obviously. So that essentially means that all four passenger coaches now have the underframe, have most of the bodywork kind of in place. So it's you can actually sort of start getting the grasp for the actual train size. So obviously there'll be a few photos on screen from this little bit of a photo shoot, so you can sort of see some of the changes as well. The tender's got wheels now, so I was able to use some pliers and one of the mats from the table, and a bit of brute force, and got the roller bearings in, so that it's now got on wheels. You know, it looks a lot better. It's very smooth in terms of its wheel flow, so it rolls nice and easily, and then there's a few other bits and tweaks from Brickliner orders, and the odd thing here or there where some things have been changed around, some have been updated. The observation car, for example, the end of the roof has just been slightly redesigned to make it a little bit smoother, and that was actually done when it was at my desk at work as a display piece. So I took it into work, was tinkering around with those, and so I went, oh, I can change and make it a little bit better. Took some parts home one day, brought some new parts in the next, and changed it around that way. So it looks a little bit better, and it's certainly the aesthetic of a nice smooth rounded off end of the car works a lot better now too. So all that being said, you know, the project is progressing well. The observation car, out of all the cars, is actually almost complete now in terms of the original spec. You know, there's only two pieces that needs it to be changed to it to be fundamentally complete, and those are the two bits in the fish belly underframe, because they're yellow and they should be black. And again, that's just because any Brickliner order I've placed, there's not been enough to there's not been those parts available, or there's not been enough of them available to complete the underframe. I'm not going to make an order just to complete one car. I know it was kind of in my sort of like, I'm going to do it this year, I'm going to finish one car, but the scope of the projects has changed a lot, and to be honest, it is that complete, with the exception of the tailboard, which is going to be printed as a custom one by Brickliner. With the exception of that and the lighting, I kind of want to try and do. It's complete, so I sort of like, I've not achieved it. Don't get me wrong, I've not achieved it, but it's as good as it's going to get for this year. And, you know, next year, probably around February sometime, I'll actually start putting out a few Brickliner orders, buying a few pieces, and then it'll upgrade that way, and then I might get a coach complete at least. In regards to lighting, because I did touch on it, I kind of want to investigate it at a later date once the train is complete, as possibly sort of like this is the level it's at now, and this is the next level, so that once I've completed the train, I've got everything sorted, everything works, everything's on roller bearings, so it's nice and smooth and nice and fast. You know, sort of like, yeah, that's all done. Let's now fit some lighting into it. So the current plan, or current idea for the lighting, is that it's all going to be a custom loop with the exception of one or two things. So the train loco lighting is still going to remain as is, because that's just using power functions, and I don't want to do anything else to that at the moment. But the coaches are going to have, if I can fit one in, a 9V PP3 battery in the fish belly. That's then going to go to a sort of like circuit board with like a resistor on it and a switch. So that's going to limit the current going to the lights, and it's also going to be an on-off thing. So that will then feed from that into sort of like structure bars across the top of the roof space in the cars, and the lights are going to be attached to that. either with some blue tack or with some glue. Now, obviously I don't like to use glue over Lego, or the Craggle, as some might call it, but I'm kind of one of those people that sort of like, I like the purity of Lego, but there's some things where even the professionals and the even Lego's own like factory, if you like, for custom creations like Legoland stuff and model workshops and that sort of thing, they actually glue those, so, and do some custom stuff, and cut the studs off and that sort of thing. So yeah, there's pre-existing evidence that occurs even in an official capacity, so I'm not too bothered about doing that per se. And the other thing is that any parts I do modify or want to modify, I will go on to Bricklink and check what sets they're in. Is it a common part? Is it fairly easy to replace? If I do want to make it pure Lego again, X, Y, Z, it's all very much if it's an old part, generally speaking, I won't do anything. It's only if it's a new part, it's easily replaceable and it's fairly cheap to replace if I do want to, such as sell. As bad as it sounds, just in case I want to sell the train at a later date to make some money for the next one, or because I don't know, I stopped liking it and I want to do something else, that sort of thing. So the loco and the train itself for the future upgrades, because as nice as it sounds, the train works very well in 7 wide, but the interior doesn't. Externally, with what I've designed, it looks very nice, it performs flawlessly, but I kind of don't like the way some bits work. So the interior is the main example, and the reason for that is that a 7 wide as a body with a 5 wide interior, that's enough space for 1 row of seating and then a 3 stud wide sort of like walk gap, and that imbalances the car essentially, because you have a load of seats one side and then a load of people walking the other side, and that's it. There's plenty of room to change around and that sort of thing, but there's not enough room to fit as many seats as I like, because I'd like to actually be a bit more practical and actually have 2 rows of seats, which is not feasible at the moment. So what my plan is, and this is going to take a while because obviously it means I need to order a load of new parts, because I doubt I'll actually have anything of that sort of type in, is I'm going to upgrade the train to an 8 wide train. So the coaches are going to be fairly easy to do. The observation car I do want to tweak about a bit to make it a bit more smoothed at the end, possibly use some newer pieces to try and get that done, like the new bus windscreen. I've seen an observation car from the Emerald Knights, somebody did a custom one using that piece, so I kind of want to get a few of those if I've not got any in stock, and try and see about working that into a more smoother end to the observation car, because I want to try and smooth out that end. As nice as it is, it's very blocky and only rounded and borrows off the Santa Fe design for that, so I want to just change that around a bit, make it a little smoother, possibly make it angled as well, so it's got a nice kind of like beaver tail style to it, from the London North Eastern Flying Scotsman East sort of service, where it's nice and smooth. And then as well as moving to 8 wide, so 8 wide means changing the seating to a 2 1+1, as the seats either side, and then a 2, so there's 2 studs for seats, 2 studs for an aisle, and then 2 studs for another seating. I'm also going to change a few of the other interior details, such as the kitchen / restaurant car. I'm actually going to make the kitchen the full width of the car, and also expand it out slightly, so it's going to fill out more of the car, but it also means that will make it better, because there's more room for the kitchen staff to work. It's also going to have some room in for the food storage as well, so there's actually not going to be a requirement to have that in another car and then have staff walk between the cars carrying on bread or food or meat and stuff like that between the cars. It's just going to be a case of everything's here. If I need something, I can just go there, or go into that cupboard, or go to that cupboard there, and it saves a lot of bother and increases the realism of it. And the loco as well. The loco is actually undergoing a complete changeover. The tender is actually going to be lengthened again. I lengthened it already to make it a little bit better and go around corners better. I'm actually going to lengthen it again because it doesn't look. It looks alright, but it doesn't look beefy enough, if you like. It needs to be a bit bigger for what I want to do with it. Even if it's only a couple of studs, that couple of studs does make a large difference in terms to scaling the whole thing. It's fictitious, so it's not based on the real life prototype, but it does need to kind of give the gravitas and air that it's based on the real thing. So everything has to be kind of like in the line, you know, it all has to be nice and smooth, it has to scale properly, etc, etc. So the wheel format is changing as well, or the type it is. So for those of you who've watched these updates, you will have known that originally when I did the train it was 6 wide and the loco was a 460. The train became 7 wide, the loco became a hybrid of 6 and 7, and the loco stayed as a 460. I then changed it to a 462, 6 and 7 wide hybrid again, and then I changed it to a full 7 wide, and then despite the constant redesigns and doing that sort of thing, I never was quite happy with it. The mechanism was one of the biggest bugbears because I was trying to do something quite advanced and it didn't work properly. Might work better if I'd changed it so it was individual, but I could never get the mechanism for that train working properly. So I've kind of completely junked that idea of that logo with that mechanism. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I can't copy any ideas off it, certainly not, but as a 462 and with the way I was doing it, it's not going to work. So I've been busy redesigning it. I've actually got a bit of a physical prototype here, so it's now going to become a 240 plus 042 sort of like mallet-y style loco. So this is a prototype of the mechanism. So as I turn this drive axle down here, the wheels actually turn. So this is not the smoothest it could be, but as you can see, as I rotate this axle, wheels rotate as well. And the reason for that is that this axle is actually acting as the pivot point. So as the body stays still and the wheels turn, the axle actually has that capability to still move. So there's 2 of these. There's going to be the first one at the front, there's going to be another one at the back, so that should actually be that way around. So this is the front one, by the way. Prototypes of the cylinders would actually be here. So the motor is going to be here. So the motor drives that through another gear train. So that gear should actually be up here because it's down there, so it stops it moving around. So that then drives the horizontal drive to the vertical drive. That vertical drive is then transferred into another horizontal drive through the gears there. So that then turns horizontal, and then it's just driven both axles that way. Fairly simple mechanism. Lots of other people have done the same thing, but possibly not in the way I've done it. So that's one of them. There's going to be 2 of these, slightly different formations because I want to try and maximise the space saving. So this one is connected like that. So that's the cylinders. That's that. I'm actually going to move the underside of that to that end, so these are going to swap around. So essentially the top is going to be taken off, turned 180 and put back in. So what that will mean is that the drive to go down to the chassis is actually at the back here, and the reason for that is that the motors that are going in are actually going back to back, so it's going to be a little bit of space saving to do that. There's going to be some space saving measures doing that. So that will just make it, you know, that little bit better. It'll save some room, you know, make everything look a bit better, and that sort of thing, you know. So there's a lot of work to be done on the train. I've not started any of the 8 wide conversion for the passenger cars. The loco, there'll be some screenshots from Lego Digital Designer of the new design. But I'm going to be working on that. I'm not quite content with the smoothness at the front at the moment, so I'm probably going to be reworking that, adding a little bit of a recess so that it does sort of like angle back slightly from the top. I did kind of want to get a little bit on the front in terms of like the pivot, in terms of the sort of like they want something at the front so that it actually rotates around. So not only does this bit swivel, so if this is the body, this bit rotates as well, but then the pony truck actually rotates as well. So there's that 2 or 3 degrees of mechanism of rotation inside the mechanism, so it means that it can navigate quite tight corners like the standard Lego R40, so it can go around those fairly easily. I'm not saying it's going to do it at full speed, you know, or the speed I'll try and wanted to get to do at top speed, but you know, it is going to be fairly capable of doing that. So if I have a yard set up or a depot set up and it's got those Lego standard R40s, you know, it can go around them without too much of an issue. Or if it needs to go around standard R40 curves, like a I don't know, a separate layer. I've taken the training, but it's not on my layout, it's on someone else's. You know, I know that it's going to go around theirs without any issue, and that sort of thing. So yes, there's a lot to be done in terms of changing it. And as you've seen, I've already started on the loco. The coaches are going to be pretty easy to do, because once I've done the underframe, it's just going to be taking off the top body, moving it onto the new 8 wide and putting it down, and then changing around the way the roof works. I'm probably going to add another layer of plates above the windows, sort of like the white band where the windows are. It's going to be a blue band, so essentially you're going to have this nice sort of like blue, sort of like white stripe, but it's going to be sandwiched between some blue, and that's going to go around the full length of the car effectively. So that's it for this update for the Brickliner. I'm Matt, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.